What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. How are you guys all doing today? Happy Monday, everybody. Don't think I've been with you guys since a couple days after the Philadelphia Eagles, traded away their first round pick with the New Orleans Saints and made that major move that is beneficial for both teams. Honestly, if we're going to go ahead and recap that trade, it is beneficial for both teams. The Philadelphia Eagles obviously got a major haul back in that trade. And then the Saints were able to acquire an extra first round pick. So good for them. They need to add some players to that team. I kind of want to talk about, a little bit about what the Saints might do. Just because I think it's kind of been understated that, they did lose Marcus Williams. I think the Saints might go safety in the first round with one of those picks, but that's something we can get to. There are some things that I want to talk about, some news and notes, and obviously this is going to be a road to the draft. Podcast. So we're going to talk a lot about the draft. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles. It's worth noting that the only quarterback that the Philadelphia Eagles had come in for a pre-draft visit was Matt Corral, which I'm kind of excited about a little bit. I'm kind of in between, to be completely honest with you. It's like, are you going to draft the quarterback? Why are you bringing him in? What needs to happen for you to take Matt Corral? Me personally, Matt Corral is one of those guys that I think could possibly be something kind of in the same realm of Kenny Pickett. But I think there is something to be said for the fact that, the Eagles did take Kenny Pickett out for dinner on his pro day and then decided not to bring him in for a pre-draft visit. But they did go ahead and bring in Matt Corral for a pre-draft visit. So that is something worth noting. So I think that they maybe took Kenny Pickett off their board, or maybe they're just trying to play the silent game. Who knows? Maybe they still like Kenny Pickett. We'll just have to see. But it's also worth noting that the Philadelphia Eagles did go ahead and bring in Georgia wide receiver George Pickens for a pre-draft visit as well. So he's one of those guys that could be there in the second round, but he has been getting a lot of heat, has been getting a lot of hype. So maybe he could be a late first rounder, but I still see him falling to the second round. Maybe he'll be there at 51. I don't know. Me personally, I still believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take a first round wide receiver. So I do believe that the wide receiver that they are going to take a wide receiver in the first round. But who knows? We'll have to see. I think it's gonna come down to who's gonna be on the board. By the time that the Eagles pick at 15, are the Eagles even going to stay at 15, or are they going to trade up? Are they actually going to trade up for maybe a Sauce Gardner or a Jordan Davis? Things of that nature and guys like that. And if they want to, are they going to be able to? Because there's plenty of teams that are interested in Sauce Gardner. It's hard to say that Sauce Gardner is, the Jets are going to want to trade out of 10, to give to the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Jets also could use a cornerback, a couple of defensive pieces on their team. So it's gonna be hard to trade up and get Sauce Gardner. I will say that. Might not be the popular opinion. Obviously Eagles fans want as much positive vibes as they possibly can. But if the Eagles are interested in trading up for Sauce Gardner, they have the ammunition to do it. I hope that they do. As far as safety Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame is concerned, there's been reports, there's been rumors, there's been speculations that he might be one of those guys that the Eagles try and trade up for. But the problem is that the position that he plays, the Eagles don't usually target highly in the first round, and that is safety. So would they trade up for a guy like Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton? I would hope so. I would also hope that if Devin Lloyd is still on the board and he is near the top of their draft board, that they would go for Devin Lloyd. Here's the thing. I don't think the conversation or the language really has changed since we started this entire thing. I think as we were saying a few months ago, Eagles still have to get better at linebacker. Obviously, they signed Kaiser White. Everybody's really excited about Kaiser White. Had a phenomenal season with the Chargers. Played pretty well against the Philadelphia Eagles in that game when they played each other this past season. I'm excited about Kaiser White. I think he's going to be a better ball player than Eric Wilson was for us. That's kind of what they were hoping for when we signed Eric Wilson last season. But Kaiser White is just a better overall linebacker, just a better overall player. So there's more to be excited about. But still, all the same, is if Devin Lloyd is on the board, I feel like you should go ahead and draft Devin Lloyd. You know what I mean? Obviously there's going to be some hard decisions because there's going to be guys available. Not every 70 players aren't going to go before pick 15. Jordan Davis might still be there. Devontae Wyatt might still be there. Jermaine Johnson might still be there. Devin Lloyd might still be there. Derek Stingley might still be there. It's hard to say that I'm not ready to commit to that. A lot of people are starting to say that Derek Stingley is going to fall and somehow he's going to fall to 15. It's hard to say that. I'm not ready to commit to that yet. Reason being is this. Like I said, similar to the take on the Jets, is that there's other teams, in front of the Philadelphia Eagles at 15 that need cornerbacks. Now, Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley are the two top cornerbacks in the out of the cornerback draft class. So, there's something to be said for that. I think, it wouldn't even shock me if Dallas took another cornerback, honestly. You know what I mean? So the Giants could take a cornerback. Hell, the Giants could take Sauce Gardner. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the Jets could take Derek Stingley. You know what I mean? So those are two teams that have two picks in the top 10. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And that's why I say I think it's going to come down to this. I think it's either going to come down to the Philadelphia Eagles are going to need to trade up for one of those players, or they're just going to need to trade up regardless, whether they're targeting Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley or, Jordan Davis or Kyle Hamilton, what have you, but just to put them in a better position to take somebody. The other thing is that, obviously there's been rumors and news and notes and speculation about possibly Kayvon Thibodeau falling to the Eagles because of, or falling down, not necessarily the Eagles, but falling down the draft board because of, is the effort there, is, and things like that. So teams are starting to worry about that. Look, they worried about that with, they worried about that with a ton of players who ended up still going in the top 5. So I still think that Kayvon Thibodeau goes in the top 10, doesn't make it to the Philadelphia Eagles. I still think the conversations are the same. I don't think the boards have changed much, other than the fact that, some of those mid to late round guys have obviously catapulted themselves up, into the draft board. And I'm talking about Jermaine Johnson. I'm talking about Jordan Davis. I'm talking about, Sauce Gardner obviously is definitely one of them. And we kind of knew that he was going to be a top prospect anyway, but he was not one of the top guys. He was not the top guy going into the offseason, right after the Super Bowl. So give me 1 second here, guys. My cat is trying to get out. I do apologize about that. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be an interesting draft. I think this is one of the most intriguing, most interesting drafts, we've seen in quite a while. There's so many teams with multiple picks. I mean, how crazy is that, right? How crazy is that? There's so many teams with multiple first round picks in this draft. It's hard to like, it's hard to not say that this is going to be an exciting draft. Like it really is. King, what's up, my man? Welcome to the chat today, my dude. Happy Monday. King Miro says, do we have 15th and 18th or just the 18th pick? We have the 15th and the 18th pick. We have the 15th and the 18th pick. So technically we traded 16 and 19 to the Saints for 18 and a first next year and a second in 2024 and a third this year, I believe, something along those lines, and then a bunch of other picks. So the Eagles still have 2 first-round picks. And it's still a prime, like that. Those are still prime picks. Me personally is, I really like safety, Penn State safety Jaquan Brisker. Now, 18 might be a little bit too high to take safety Jaquan Brisker. But maybe if the Eagles can move back again with 18, and then take Jaquan Brisker, I don't know. I don't necessarily want them to move back again, but I don't necessarily want them to trade back again, but they certainly could do it. They could trade back. They could trade back and still stay in the first round, and still acquire extra picks in this round or in this draft. Who knows what they're going to do, but they need to add players. They need to add playmakers and players. Speaking of playmakers, we'll get back to the draft talk, but speaking of playmakers, what's going on with the Honey Badger? What is going on with Tyrann Mateo? You know what I mean? For me personally, the Eagles and the Tyrann Mateo rumors, and just how this whole situation is kind of playing out right now reminds me a lot of the Steven Nelson Philadelphia Eagles situation last year. And for me, it makes me think at least 70% Tyrann Mateo is going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. To be completely honest with you, I was excuse me, I was a little bit shocked. I was a little bit surprised. I was a little bit flabbergasted when he when he did not stay in New Orleans. I was a little bit shocked when he did not stay in New Orleans and he walked out of the building without a contract. Excuse me. King says, I did not know you had a cat. Yeah. Well, technically they're my roommate's cats, but for now they're ours. Until I move in August, which I am moving again in August. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that. But yeah, I mean, Tyrann Mateo, he needs to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't know. I don't know what more else to say on the topic. Honestly, I mean, Tyrann Mateo can play corner, he can play safety, he can play in the box, he can play nickel, he can play deep safety. He can bring to you what Malcolm Jenkins brought to this team, and clearly it was missed last season. So, I mean, we don't have Rodney McLeod on the team anymore. I think he went and visited the Colts. I don't know if he signed with the Colts, but or maybe he did. Maybe he did sign with the Colts. But right now, pretty much we have Marcus Epps, Anthony Harris, Kayvon Wallace. And for me, honestly, guys, I mean, look, Marcus Epps had some bright moments last season. I'll give him that, and he really impressed me a little bit last season, but I'll be fair. Like, I don't think that he is a starting safety. I think that he's a good, I believe that he's a good nickel guy, can come in and and be that extra defensive back. But as far as him starting, no, we need to bring in somebody, and bringing in Tyrann Mathieu is gonna fill a big hole on that defense. That's for damn sure. Speaking of defensive backs that the Philadelphia Eagles have kind of, are not going to be on the team. Steven Nelson had a visit with the Houston Texans today. So, obviously there were some, little murmurs that maybe the Philadelphia Eagles could bring him back if it gets late into the process. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles have any interest in bringing Steven Nelson back. I think he was serviceable for a year. But was he really? I mean, we can get deeper into that conversation. You know what I mean? We can get deeper into the Steven Nelson conversation. But there's really no, and basically the explanation, if we were to get deeper in that conversation, is that Jonathan Gannon played his safeties really deep, and so he had a safety helping out Steven Nelson over the top. If that safety wasn't there, we would have noticed Steven Nelson getting beat a lot more. But he was getting beat. Wide receivers were beating him when running their routes, but the safety was there, so he didn't get thrown at a lot. So there's that. King Miro says, I really want DK Metcalf, though. Yeah, I hear you, man. And here's the thing. It's funny. It's like Dan Sileo, on the Dan Sileo show, and Jacob Media, has Barrett Brooks on there all the time. And they go in and they talk about, after this trade is made, Barrett Brooks says, I don't want draft picks, I want players, right? And these draft picks don't really matter because we don't know what they're going to do and whatnot. And for me, I kind of got a little turned off by that comment. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? These draft picks don't matter. Of course they matter. One, they equal ammunition in trades. Two, you give yourself a higher percentage to possibly hit on some guys. But here's the other thing. So the Eagles can't just go and trade and King, me, I would love to bring in DK Metcalf. But here's the thing. He's in a contract year. DK, with what wide receivers are getting paid right now, if the Eagles traded for DK Metcalf, they would have to sign him. They would have to give him a new contract to go along with it. It's exactly what we saw with Devante Adams. It's exactly what we saw with Tyreek Hill. And these guys are getting paid a ton of money. If the Philadelphia Eagles did that, they would completely screw themselves for the future. We would be in cap hell. We wouldn't be having a free agency next year. We wouldn't. Next year, we are estimated to have about $40 million over the cap, or under the cap. So we're estimated to have about $40 million to spend next season. And if the Philadelphia Eagles traded for DK Metcalf this offseason and then went ahead and gave him a huge contract, it would damage things. It would damage things. So while I would love DK Metcalf on this team, I think I would love even more if the Philadelphia Eagles hit on another first-round wide receiver. And I say another, obviously I'm speaking in terms of the addition to last year's pick, Devante Smith. And honestly, I think they can do that. I think that they can do that if they go and they draft, whether it be Garrett Wilson, whether it be, I'm not as high on Chris Olave, but I think he's going to be a good player. And I think he is a good wide receiver, but I think it would, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, maybe Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks kind of I was really high on Treylon Burks prior to the combine where he only jumped like a 33-inch vertical. That's not cool for a wide receiver. It's just not. But I might be wrong. I think he's gonna fall. I think he's gonna fall, honestly. But I do see him as as a Deebo Samuel type. I think when he came out and said that I'm a Deebo Samuel type, I think he was right in saying that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that. And even if he is wrong in the long run, there's nothing wrong with hyping yourself up a little bit and whatnot. But when it comes to Treylon Burks, I mean, that 33, 34-inch vertical really kind of, it kind of turned me off a little bit. But there's also George Pickens out of Georgia. And George Pickens out of Georgia, I really like. George Pickens out of Georgia. It might be a little bit of a reach at this point to say that he's going to be there at 51 in the second round. The Eagles did just bring him in for a pre-draft visit, as I did say at the beginning of the podcast. But excuse me. But they could always trade up in the second round. You know what I mean? They could always trade up in the second round. Trade up to 40, 46 or something like that. They could use one of those 5th round picks that they have, and trade up in the second round a couple spots to draft George Pickens. There's nothing wrong with that. King says either that or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, either that or Garrett Wilson. Look, Garrett Wilson's phenomenal. Garrett Wilson's phenomenal. Garrett Wilson, great route runner. Smooth, he's smooth with the ball in his hands. He can get the yards, man, and he's a phenomenal route runner. It would be kind of like adding a Devante Smith, 2.0. Honestly, he's a bit bigger than Devante Smith, obviously, but it would be in the route running department. It would be like Devante Smith. So would Jamison Williams. Jameson Williams is like 6'1", 6'2", 185, speed demon, great route runner, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's funny because earlier in the month, or maybe it was last month, I was telling my buddy, I was like, dude, these wide receivers, these first round wide receivers are phenomenal. Like Garrett Wilson, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, their route running ability is just as good as Devante. And he's like, no, they're not as good as Devante. And I was like, no, bro, they are. And they might even be better. King says thoughts on Jamison Williams. I'm sorry, guys. I've had this cough for a week now. My thoughts on Jamison Williams. He's the guy I want the Eagles to take. Whether it's 15 or whether it's 18, I don't care. I want Jamison Williams on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I also don't mind waiting until week 4. And I don't care if he's injured right now. I don't care if he's recovering from an injury. Jamison Williams is going to turn out to be the best wide receiver in this draft class. Plain and simple. When he comes back from injury, and that's why I say, and it seems like a Howie Roseman type of pick, honestly, because he's an injury. He's got an injury right now, and obviously we've seen that happen with Landon Dickerson, Sidney Jones. You can't hate on Howie for the Sidney Jones pick. It was a phenomenal pick at the time. Sidney Jones was arguably the best corner in that draft class before he got hurt at his pro day. And so the fact that the Eagles drafted him in the second round was a steal. It was a steal, and we were all saying that it was a steal. But Jamison Williams, yeah, I would take him in the first round. I wouldn't even risk him. I wouldn't even risk him going to, lasting until 51. I really wouldn't. What are your thoughts on Jamison Williams, King? And I think that I think that Jamison Williams would give, I think he would give Nick Sirianni more versatility in the offense. And two, with a guy like Jamison Williams and Devante Smith, you really get to see what you have in Jalen Hurts, because there's no reason, none whatsoever, for Jalen Hurts to not excel with Jamison Williams and Devante Smith on the fucking team, including Dallas Goedert. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to say that a lot of people want to say that the coaching staff used the wide receivers wrong last season. No, they didn't. Jalen Hurts couldn't get the ball to his wide receivers. Toxic Falcons, what's up, my man? Happy Monday, my bro. Welcome. King says he had 15 touchdowns and 1,700 yards this year. Wow. Yeah. I mean, look, I know he's injured. He's recovering from an injury. But I would take him in the first round. Here's the thing, too, and I'm sure that GMs have to weigh on this and have to weigh this in when they're making decisions, right? Is like, would you take George Pickens, who can come in and play for you right away, but you're not sure how he's actually going to perform? Now, obviously, we're really excited about George Pickens, right? We think he's got, a high ceiling. And we think that if he's going to be there in the second round for us, it would be a great pick. Or would you take Jamison Williams, who is going to have an elite level career, but you have to wait 5 weeks? You just have to wait a little bit longer to see your guy. Toxic Falcon says, who did? Jamison Williams. King says, I can't wait till Jalen proves you wrong, DB. I can't wait till Jalen proves me wrong. Look, I didn't say Jalen was going to have a bad season. I'm talking about this past season. That's all that I'm talking about. I hope that Jalen excels. I mean, look, he's working out with Tom Brady's quarterback coach, or was not his quarterback coach, but his private quarterback coach that he worked with for a long time, and that's Tom House. He's done some other things too and whatnot, but the one thing that he's not doing is practicing with the wide receivers that we have on the team. That's the one thing that he's not doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right. And the Eagles brought in Matt Corral for a pre-draft visit, What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to take a quarterback at 51 if Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett are there? Maybe. I think if Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett are there at 51, the Eagles are going to take him. Plain and simple. Talks about and says Jalen proving no one wrong. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Like I think Toxic Falcons is right. Do I think Jalen is going to have a better year than he had last year? Yes, I do. But here's the thing. Are we going to see a quarterback who can get the Philadelphia Eagles to a championship? And by that, I don't mean a championship this season, but are we going to see a guy who can do it? Who can do it in the future? Because that's what they need. They need the guy that can do it in the future. And we'll be able to know. We'll be able to know. We'll be able to see it. We'll be able to see it right away. I'll tell you that, because if he comes out into this season and starts this season the way that he started last season, God help me, he is not going to finish the season. He is not going to. We remember those conversations we were having last season about is Jalen Hurts gonna get the full season? Jalen Hurts is not going to get the full season for this year. He's not. He needs to show that he's improved a lot. Talks Falcons says, but I think most of you are getting bamboozled for thinking any of these quarterbacks are worth drafting. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, this quarterback draft class has gotten a really bad rap. So much so that people forgot. That they were claiming Sam Howell was going to be the number one quarterback last year. Sam Howell lost 4 playmakers in last year's draft and so he lost a little bit of his passing ability, but he made up for it with running the football. Sam Howell, I still believe is just as good as a prospect as people thought he was last year. That's the thing. People were saying some of these quarterbacks in this draft class were good when they were saying it last year. And that's what annoys me. And you know which player really casted the shadow over the entire draft class? It all started when Spencer Rattler took a shit on the season. That's when it started. And just by default, the rest of the quarterbacks in this draft class started getting shit. Because, yes, Sam Howell didn't have the playmakers that he had in the season prior. And they were like, oh, he's having a bad season too. He's going to suck. Well, Kenny Pickett had a good fucking season. Matt Corral had a good fucking season. Desmond Ridder had a good fucking season. Led a team to the championship that shouldn't have been in the championship. That says something. And you know what I say? Talks Falcons, to this comment here on the screen is I think that these quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, at least they have the potential to be better than Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, who year in and year out make the fucking playoffs. That's what I have to say to that. King says, "Hey fool, Marcus Mariota is no good. Y'all dumb for trading Matt Ryan." Tox Falcon says, "I didn't want Matt gone, but we will have the most cap space next year, 137 million. Well, that's not fucking staying that way, but that's okay." Tox Falcon says, "And if we do good in this draft, next season can be our season. Any season can be anybody's season, honestly." Tox Falcon says, "DB, I think you're wrong about these quarterbacks. We'll see. We'll see. I think people are wrong about Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis is just a pure combine prospect or a combine quarterback. That's it. Malik Willis. People need to get back, and take off the rose-colored glasses and remember how many times he turned the ball over this past season. You know what I mean? But some team is going to jump on Malik Willis thinking that he's going to be the next Lamar Jackson, and it's just not going to happen. I think Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral are going to be something. I think Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, and maybe even Sam Howell, I think are going to be something. Just watch. I'm not saying that they're going to be fucking elite. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they're going to be elite, but I think that they will be good quarterbacks. I think that they will be good quarterbacks, serviceable starters, at least. Are you fucking kidding? Tox Falcon says Kenny Pickett's hands are damn small. That's why he wears gloves. Okay. That still didn't keep him from throwing 43 touchdowns or whatever it fucking was. Like, enough with the hands shit. Joe Burrow's hands were 9 inches. Yes, Kenny Pickett's were a little bit under that. It's a hand. Like, stop. It's a ridiculous thing. I get it. Like, I get why they do that. Because the bigger hand that you got, the more likelihood, like the higher chances that you'll have a better grip because you'll be able to have a full on, grasp on the ball. But the dude can still spin it. The dude can still spin it. You're wrong, dude. You're wrong. You were wrong about Mac Jones. You're wrong about these 3 quarterbacks. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. In fact, I was the only one who was fucking right about Mac Jones as far as I remember. You both were subscribed to me. This point in time last year. I said the Eagles should have taken Mac Jones. And guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles should have taken Mac Jones. The Philadelphia Eagles should have taken Mac Jones. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to quarterbacks. At least give me that. I was right about Mac Jones. And I know Tox Falcons, you don't like Mac Jones. You still think he's shit, but that's just because he's a Patriot and you hate the Patriots because, again, they came back from a 28-3 deficit in the Super Bowl and kicked your fucking ass. Tox Falcon says Kenny Pickett is a bust. I'll keep saying it. I know you're going to keep saying it. You can't say he's a bust if he hasn't been drafted yet. Kenny Pickett's going to go in the first round. And in fact, he's probably going to go to the Falcons. Now, that would be hilarious. King Miro says Kenny Pickett is probably the only quarterback that is ready for the NFL. Well, there's a few others. I mean, I think Sam Howell is ready. Tox Falcon says Mac Jones has a noodle arm. He literally handed the ball off. Dude, what are you talking about? Mac Jones made some killer fucking throws throughout the season. No. Yes, I get it. Yes, I do know that they had a great run game. They did. They had a great run game. They had a Bill Belichickian type defense. They did, but he still made some killer type throws. Mac Jones was the best rookie quarterback last season. Mac Jones was the best rookie quarterback last season. Like, take off your blinders. Take off your blinders. Seriously. I love you to death. I love you to death, Dr. Falcons, but like you gotta. That's not true. He barely threw deep. That's not true. And you know, and you want to know why? That's because Bill. And if look, and if they were restricting some of his passes, it's because Bill Belichick knows how to groom a quarterback. That's because Bill Belichick knows how to groom a quarterback. Just watch. Just watch what Mac Jones turns into. Just watch. Dude, you're talking about you're talking about a quarterback working with Bill Belichick. A quarterback that Bill Belichick thought was worth taking in the first round. At pick 15. Like, dude. Come on. It takes a lot for Bill to like a player. We know that. You know, it takes a lot for Bill to like any player. Sox Falcons says Bill won't be coaching much longer. That might be true. Bill might want to retire soon. But, you know, we'll see. Yeah, so what? So what? Rookie quarterback makes it to the playoffs? Cool. Anyway, talk to Falcons. Tell me who you want the Falcons to draft. Tell me who you want the Falcons to draft in the first round of this draft class. That's what we're here to talk about. This year's draft. At the end of the day, this is one last thing I wanted to say about that, though, is at the end of the day, I think people are going to be shocked about this year's quarterback draft class. I'm not saying that they're going to be elite. I'm not saying that. But people are doubting them in an over exuberant amount. To the point where I can confidently say some of these quarterbacks are gonna shock some people. King says Falcons should draft Garrett Wilson. No, Falcons should draft Drake London. That way, the Garrett Wilson can fall to the Philadelphia Eagles, hopefully. But you know, I did see a mock where they had Garrett Wilson falling to getting drafted to the Giants, which I would not be cool with. Tox Falcon says Derek Stingley or Jordan Davis. All right. I think you guys need to improve your line. So I actually like the Jordan Davis pick better than Derek Stingley. Tox Falcon says Falcons can easily trade back. Yeah. Yeah, they can. Of course they can. Look, there's going to be some teams trying to trade up. You know, the Steelers might want to trade up because they want to draft a quarterback. And obviously that brings us to Dwayne Haskins, which, you know, unfortunately Dwayne Haskins, you know, passed away the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually. Was struck by a car. Was struck by a car on the side of the road by accident, I guess. And man, dude, it was such a shame to lose a player so young, and was on the brink of turning things around and things like that. So I did not mean to go into the Steelers quarterback situation all of a sudden, but I was going to get there eventually, but I didn't mean to do it all of a sudden. But yeah, no, my heart goes out to Dwayne Haskins and his family and his friends. So Talks Falcon says, I still want defense first. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great defensive players in this draft. King says, I think Drake London will go to Washington, to be honest. You think so? You think so? The Washington drafting Drake London. It wouldn't be smart, honestly. It wouldn't be smart. And I'll tell you why it's not smart. Washington needs to draft an offensive lineman to protect Carson Wentz. So there's that. But again, drafting Drake London opposite Terry McLaurin would be scary, and I would not want to deal with that. Me personally, I don't like Drake London. He reminds me too much of Alshon Jeffrey, and there are limitations. So there's that. But we'll see. Dr. Falcon says they need to build the defense for a future quarterback. Who's the future quarterback going to be? Who's the future quarterback going to be, Tox Falcons? Because I'll tell you this: if Jalen Hurts sucks this year, the Eagles are going to make a play for C.J. Stroud in next year's draft, and I trust my front office to make that kind of move over your front office every single fucking day of the week. Tox Falcon says it was Saturday. Okay, so it was on Saturday. Yeah, that's what I thought. My new work schedule is really long, and so I lose track of the days. But I have, I wake up at 4:45 in the morning, and then I start work at 6, and then I work until 5. So I work 4 10s, but technically it's like 12. It's like 12 hours because I'm up at 5, and then yeah. So, but I do get 3 days off. So tonight is actually my Friday. So I do get 3 days off in a row. So that's nice. Toxic Falcon says, I'm sorry, but Ohio State quarterbacks can't get it done, DB. Uh-huh. In light of what happened on Saturday, I feel like that's a little bit insensitive of you. Wasn't Dwayne Haskins Ohio State? I mean, here's the thing. Let's exclude Dwayne Haskins, respectively, honestly. But I will say this: C.J. Stroud has had some phenomenal wide receivers to throw to. Like Jamison Williams was at Ohio State and transferred. Didn't do much at Ohio State just because he had people in front of him, but he's still a phenomenal wide receiver. We know that. And then he's also had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson at Ohio State. So But I mean, look, I think he's a good quarterback prospect. Is he going to do anything in the NFL? I don't know. Here's the thing: you don't really know what these quarterbacks are going to do in the NFL until they get to the NFL. You know what I mean? King says, or Bryce Young. Yeah, see, for me, Bryce Young. Bryce Young scares me a little bit because of his size. And that's about it. And I know that you know that's been a thing that quarterbacks have had to overcome in the past. Like Russell Wilson had to overcome the size debate. Kyler Murray has had to overcome the size debate. You know, Kyler Murray's still in the midst of that. Obviously, he hasn't put together a Hall of Fame type career yet, or an elite level type career yet. But that's the one thing that worries me about Bryce Young. So, and it's justified. It's a justified worry. Tox Falcon says, I think we could pull a Tom Brady. You think you could pull a Tom Brady? What do you mean? Get Tom Brady? Talking about says, yes, I'm not trying to disrespect him at all. Yeah, I didn't think you were I didn't think you were disrespecting Dwayne Haskins. I didn't think you were disrespecting Dwayne Haskins. I was just, yeah, I didn't think you were disrespecting. I'm not gonna comment on that. But yeah, Ohio State guys need to get it done. I mean, it's kind of like the Alabama guys. I mean, Mac Jones. Again, back to the Mac Jones conversation. Like, he was an Alabama guy. He was an Alabama quarterback. Over the last few years, or however many years it's been, he has been the most productive in his rookie season out of the quarterbacks that have come out of Alabama. Is there anything, if you guys want to negate me on that or dispute me on that, you're more than welcome to. Doc Falcon says, get an elite defense and a good O-line, and we can get someone like Tom Brady, like the Bucs did. Yeah, but who is going to be that guy? Who's going to be that guy? There's not going to be that guy next year. Russell Wilson just got a new deal, I believe. Russell Wilson got a new deal in Denver. Aaron Rodgers just got a new deal. Aaron Rodgers was going to be a free agent next season, but he's not going to now. Who else? Who else is elite? Well, what other quarterback is elite that's a veteran that you could possibly have? I don't think there is a Tom Brady situation. There isn't a Tom Brady situation, in fact. Huh. Jared Goff. I don't think Jared Goff's a bad quarterback. You know what I mean? I think he's been misused a little bit, and I also think that I think that he was in a bad situation in with the Rams. Like, Sean McVay gave up on him after like 3 seasons when like he led them to a Super Bowl. He did lead them to a Super Bowl as a young quarterback. and was great with Cooper Kupp. You know, um, I have nothing against Jared Goff. I have nothing against Jared Goff. He's serviceable, that's for sure. Um, yeah. King says Jimmy G. Maybe Jimmy. Oh, there you go, Jimmy G. Jimmy G. There you go. There you go. Completely forgot about Jimmy G. Yeah. What about Jimmy G? Toxic Falcons. Would you take Jimmy G? The Eagles aren't going to trade for Jimmy. The Eagles aren't going to trade for Jimmy G. So that's not something that you need to worry about. We're not your competition. Um, I think the Eagles wanted to get vastly better at the quarterback position, or they were going to stick with Jalen Hurts. And so I don't think they're going to. I don't think Jimmy G is in their plans. Jared Goff or Tox Falcon says him and Pitts. You can see it now. I honestly can't see it, but if you can, I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I can see Jimmy G and Kyle Pitts, but Jared Goff and Kyle Pitts. I mean, I can't. I mean, I have nothing against. I will say this. I don't think Jared Goff has lived up to, his first overall draft status, but I do think he is a serviceable quarterback. I do think he's a serviceable quarterback. Here's the thing about it's interesting when you look at Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. They truly are the poor man's versions of the quarterbacks that they are like. Like Jared Goff is kind of has become sort of like a poor man's Matt Ryan, I guess. He used to move a little bit more, but now he doesn't as much. He's not as good as Matt, but he can kind of get there. He can kind of get there. He has his moments. And Carson is a poor man's Aaron Rodgers. He really is. Carson will make some amazing things happen by trying to evade the blitz, trying to evade the rush, and you'll be like, holy shit, wow, look at that. But then the poor man part comes in, and it's like, he'll have those moments throughout the season where it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? So I think that's actually I think that's a perfect fucking comparison for both of those guys. I think it's a perfect analogy for both of those guys. I have to say. Dr. Falcon says he might go to the Panthers regarding Jimmy G. Maybe. That would be a good connection, I think. Dr. Falcon says I'm trying to keep that cap. It's not going to be 127 million, dude. It's not. The years, I mean, obviously as the years pass, like it's going to go into next year for the player contracts. Some of your players, the money's going to increase depending upon how their salaries are, but and also you guys have draft picks to sign, you have free agents, unrestricted free agents to sign, things of that nature, and yada yada yada, and yeah, so it's okay. You don't have to have that much. Anything plus 80 million is a lot. Anything plus 60 million is a lot. Hell, 55 million is a lot. 40 million is good. Talks Falcon says we will probably only win 3 to 5 games this season. Just beat the Saints. That's all I care about. The Eagles have the Saints pick, the first round pick next year. Beat the New Orleans Saints, and I will be perfectly fine. Beat your division rivals. Beat your division rivals. That's all I care about. Please do that. Please do. We need the Saints to lose as many games as possible. The Philadelphia Eagles need the Saints to lose as many games as possible. And the Philadelphia Eagles played the Saints actually this season. But, we usually, Jalen Hurts kind of has their number over the last 2 seasons. So, not worried about that one. Dr. Falcon says, I don't see why we would want Jimmy. Well, because quarterbacks are playing until they're like 38 now, on average, and Jimmy is what, 29, 30? So, you still got a long time with Jimmy G. A successful team at rebuilding can rebuild a team in 2 to 4 years. So if you traded for Jimmy G, you'd have the guy. It's like what the Seahawks did with Russell. It's like Russell wasn't Russell until pretty much towards the end of the Legion of Boom, but where he had to take on the more leadership role, but once he did and once he needed to, then it was Russell's team. It wasn't the Legion of Boom's team anymore. It was Russell's team. Tox Falcon says, didn't you guys just sign a track star? Yeah, an Olympian, yes. Devin Allen. Hasn't played football since 2016, but he was good, and he's fast. He's really fast, and maybe he'll pan out into something. Who knows? Maybe he won't. I honestly don't think it's. I think it's a shot in the dark. Honestly, it's a shot in the dark. It's a Jordan Mailata type of shot in the dark. Now, obviously, we know Jordan Mailata turned into an elite left tackle. But yeah, it's a shot in the dark. I don't think it excludes the Philadelphia Eagles from taking a wide receiver whatsoever. Obviously, it won't, because this guy is a shot in the dark. So that's pretty much that. But guys, it's getting to about that time where I am getting tired and just been working all day, honestly. So that's about that. Me personally, I will end the stream by saying this, and we'll have many more talks about it because we got a little more than 2 weeks left to the draft. So there's going to be a lot to talk about moving forward, and there's going to be a lot of rumors, and obviously everybody knows that draft week is a fucking crazy week because that's when trades start happening, that's when rumors start happening, things of that nature. So but this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles, the DB Talking Now podcast, Road to the Draft, episode 1, segment, Road to the Draft segment, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. Anyway, DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. One love, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Birds, baby.